In a world that constantly demands more achievements, more possessions, more approval, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. We chase external validation, believing that happiness lies in success, recognition, or material wealth. But Buddhism teaches a different truth. The path to a better, more fulfilled life is not about accumulating more. It's about simplifying, about letting go of distractions and reconnecting with the essence of who you truly are. The journey to self-improvement is not about achieving perfection, but about cultivating wisdom, inner peace, and strength. The habits that shape us are not the ones driven by external expectations, but the ones that help us align with our deepest values. Through mindful practices, we can learn to break free from external noise, embrace the present moment, and become the best version of ourselves, not for others, but for our own growth and fulfillment. One of the most powerful habits in this journey is learning to focus only on what is within your control. So much of our suffering comes from trying to control things that were never ours to control: other people's actions, the outcome of situations, the unpredictable course of life. But when you detach from these external forces and redirect your energy to your own actions, thoughts, and responses, you reclaim your power. Buddhism teaches that suffering arises from resistance, our refusal to accept things as they are. But when we stop trying to control the uncontrollable, we find peace. For example, if someone insults you, you cannot control their words or actions, but you can control how you respond. You can choose to remain calm, to let go of the insult, to not take it personally. This small shift in perspective is transformative. It frees you from unnecessary stress and allows you to focus on the things that truly matter. Another liberating habit is letting go of the need for approval. Many people live their entire lives seeking validation through social media, through their work, through their relationships. But the moment you start living for the approval of others, you become a prisoner of their opinions. Your happiness becomes fragile, dependent on whether people like or praise you. Buddhism teaches that the desire to be liked is one of the greatest sources of suffering. People's opinions are shaped by their own experiences, biases, and beliefs. What they think of you is not a reflection of your worth. It is simply a reflection of their own perspectives. When you stop seeking validation and start living in alignment with your own values, you unlock true freedom. This doesn't mean disregarding others or ignoring feedback. It means not allowing external opinions to dictate your self-worth. You are already enough as you are. Nothing needs to be added to you. Mental strength is another essential habit for self-mastery. But mental strength does not mean suppressing emotions or pretending to be unaffected by challenges. It means developing resilience, the ability to face difficulties with clarity, composure, and wisdom. Life will never be free from hardship, but your response to it is what defines your experience. To cultivate mental strength, practice mindfulness and emotional awareness. When difficult emotions arise, do not react impulsively. Pause. Observe your thoughts and feelings. Ask yourself, what is this moment trying to teach me? Instead of resisting discomfort, embrace it as an opportunity for growth. This habit of pausing before reacting allows you to make choices that align with your deepest values rather than being controlled by emotional impulses. True growth comes when you start seeing obstacles not as barriers, but as opportunities. Buddhism teaches that every challenge holds the potential to teach us something, whether it's patience, wisdom, or self-awareness. When you stop fearing obstacles and start embracing them, your entire relationship with struggle changes. The next time you encounter a challenge, step back and ask, what can I learn from this? Perhaps it is teaching you to let go of attachment, to develop resilience, or to cultivate compassion for yourself and others. Difficulties are inevitable, but your perspective on them shapes your experience. By embracing challenges instead of resisting them, you transform hardship into growth, suffering into wisdom. Self-discipline is another cornerstone of personal transformation. In Buddhism, discipline is practiced through ethical living, mindfulness, and self-awareness. Without discipline, the mind is easily swayed by distractions, temptations, and fleeting desires. But with discipline, you create a life of intention, clarity, and purpose. Self-discipline is not about rigid rules. It is about aligning your daily habits with your highest values. Start small. Commit to a simple meditation practice. Refrain from negative self-talk. Create a routine that supports your physical and mental well-being. Over time, these small acts of discipline accumulate, shaping you into a stronger, more focused version of yourself. When you cultivate discipline, you gain control over your life, making decisions that reflect your values rather than being dictated by fleeting impulses. Another transformative habit is living simply. Simplicity is not about deprivation. It is about eliminating the unnecessary and creating space for what truly matters. In today's world, we are constantly bombarded with distractions, consumerism, social media, the endless pursuit of external achievements. But Buddhism teaches that true freedom comes from letting go of the constant need for more and focusing on what is already present. Living simply means decluttering, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. It means releasing attachment to things, ideas, and desires that do not serve you. When you let go of excess, you create space for clarity, peace, and deeper connection. This practice allows you to shift your focus from accumulation to appreciation, from distraction to presence. Ask yourself, what is truly essential in my life? Whether it's letting go of material possessions that no longer serve you, releasing negative thought patterns, or simplifying your daily routine, each act of simplification brings you closer to peace. The less clutter, both physical and mental, you carry, the lighter and freer you become. Generosity is another habit that transforms the heart and mind. But true generosity is not just about giving material possessions. It is about giving from the heart without expectation. When you give freely, whether it's your time, your kindness, or your presence, you cultivate a deep sense of connection with others. Buddhism teaches that selfless giving is a path to liberation, as it frees you from attachment and opens the heart. Too often people give with expectations. They hope for gratitude, recognition, or a return favor. But true generosity is about offering from a place of abundance without needing anything in return. When you practice this, you shift from a mindset of scarcity to one of fulfillment. Giving becomes not a burden, but a source of joy. The more you give, the more you realize that generosity is not about losing something. It's about expanding your capacity for love, compassion, and connection. Along with generosity, learning to release negative thoughts is essential for peace of mind. Negative thoughts, self-doubt, resentment, fear, cloud our perception of reality. The Buddha taught that our thoughts shape our experience. If your mind is filled with negativity, your reality will reflect that. But if you train your mind to release destructive thoughts and replace them with constructive ones, you change the way you experience life. Mindfulness is the key to letting go. Instead of suppressing or fighting negative thoughts, simply observe them. Recognize that they are not permanent. They come and go like passing clouds. When you learn to detach from thoughts instead of identifying with them, they lose their power over you. With practice, you cultivate a mindset of peace, resilience, and self-awareness. By integrating these habits, focusing on what you can control, releasing attachment to validation, building mental strength, embracing simplicity, giving selflessly, and letting go of negativity, you begin to transform your inner world. You no longer chase happiness externally because you have found it within. The journey to becoming the best version of yourself is not about striving for perfection. It is about deepening your awareness, aligning with your values, and living each day with intention. And as you walk this path, you will realize everything you were searching for was already within you. As you continue deepening your journey of self-mastery, you'll begin to see that true transformation is not about acquiring something new. It's about unlearning, about letting go of the unnecessary, the distractions and the false identities you've built over time. The more you shed what does not serve you, the clearer your path becomes. One of the most powerful habits that leads to inner strength is learning to embrace solitude. In a world that constantly pushes for connection, validation, and external distractions, solitude can feel uncomfortable. But it is in solitude that you truly meet yourself. It is in those moments of quiet that you begin to understand your thoughts, your fears, and your desires with greater clarity. Buddhism teaches that solitude is not about isolation. It is about self-discovery. When you spend time alone, free from distractions, you develop a deeper relationship with yourself. You learn to enjoy your own company, to reflect without external influence, and to listen to the wisdom that arises from within. Make solitude a habit. Set aside time each day to be alone with your thoughts. Take walks in nature without your phone, sit in meditation, or simply enjoy silence. Instead of fearing stillness, embrace it. Within it, you will find answers you have been searching for. Alongside solitude, another habit that strengthens the mind is learning to let go of emotional baggage. Many people carry the weight of past regrets, resentment, or guilt, allowing these emotions to shape their present. But holding on to the past does not change it. It only drains your energy and keeps you from fully living. Buddhism teaches that suffering comes not from what happens to us, but from our attachment to it. If you keep reliving painful experiences, if you allow old wounds to define you, you remain stuck. But the moment you choose to release the past, you free yourself. Letting go does not mean forgetting, it means accepting. It means making peace with what has happened and choosing not to let it control your present. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to that is weighing me down? Whether it's resentment towards someone, guilt over a mistake, or regret about a missed opportunity, recognize that clinging to it does not serve you. Take a deep breath, acknowledge it, and let it go. Forgiveness is a powerful tool in this practice, not for others, but for yourself. Holding on to anger and resentment only poisons your own mind. When you forgive, not because the other person deserves it, but because you deserve peace, you reclaim your power. Another transformative habit that strengthens both mind and spirit is simplifying your desires. Desire itself is not the problem. It is the attachment to desire that leads to suffering. When you constantly crave more possessions, more recognition, more pleasure, you create a cycle of dissatisfaction. The moment one desire is fulfilled, another takes its place, leaving you in a state of endless wanting. Buddhism teaches that contentment arises when we learn to appreciate what we already have. Instead of constantly chasing, learn to pause and ask, do I really need this? Will this truly bring me peace, or is it just another distraction? The more you simplify your desires, the more freedom you gain. You begin to experience joy in the present rather than postponing it for some future achievement. This habit also extends to how you spend your time. People often fill their schedules with unnecessary commitments, believing that busyness equals productivity. But true productivity is not about doing more. It is about doing what matters. Simplify your schedule. Focus on what brings real fulfillment rather than engaging in activities out of obligation or fear of missing out. A crucial part of self-mastery is also mastering your speech. Words carry immense power. They shape your thoughts, influence your relationships, and affect your inner peace. Many people speak mindlessly, complaining, gossiping, or criticizing, without realizing that every word they speak reinforces a certain mental state. Buddhism teaches the practice of right speech, speaking with awareness, kindness, and purpose. Before you speak, ask yourself, is this true? Is this necessary? Is this kind? If the answer is no, remain silent. When you practice mindful speech, you cultivate a more peaceful mind. You stop wasting energy on negativity, and you build relationships based on trust and understanding. Along with mindful speech, practicing mindful consumption is equally important. What you consume, whether it's food, media, or information, shapes your mental and emotional state. If you constantly feed your mind with negativity, fear, or distractions, your thoughts will reflect that. But if you choose to consume content that inspires, educates, and uplifts, your mind will naturally become stronger and clearer. Take a moment to reflect on what you regularly consume. Are you filling your mind with unnecessary drama, fear-based news, or meaningless distractions? Or are you feeding it with knowledge, wisdom, and positivity? Be intentional with your consumption. Choose books, conversations, and environments that align with the person you want to become. Another essential habit for transformation is cultivating deep presence in every action. Most people move through life in a state of partial awareness, always thinking about what's next, always distracted, rarely fully present. But when you bring your full attention to whatever you are doing, life becomes richer, more meaningful. Whether you are eating, working, or having a conversation, practice being fully present. Notice the details, the taste of your food, the tone of a person's voice, the sensation of your breath. When you engage with life in this way, even ordinary moments become extraordinary. Presence turns routine tasks into meditations, distractions into opportunities for mindfulness, and conversations into deep connections. One of the greatest realizations you will have on this journey is that happiness is not something to be chased, it is something to be cultivated. Take walks in nature without your phone, sit in meditation, or simply enjoy silence. Instead of fearing stillness, embrace it. Within it, you will find answers you have been searching for. Alongside solitude, another habit that strengthens the mind is learning to let go of emotional baggage. Many people carry the weight of past regrets, resentment, or guilt, allowing these emotions to shape their present. But holding on to the past does not change it. It only drains your energy and keeps you from fully living. Buddhism teaches that suffering comes not from what happens to us, but from our attachment to it. If you keep reliving painful experiences, if you allow old wounds to define you, you remain stuck. But the moment you choose to release the past, you free yourself. Letting go does not mean forgetting, it means accepting. It means making peace with what has happened and choosing not to let it control your present. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to that is weighing me down? Whether it's resentment towards someone, guilt over a mistake, or regret about a missed opportunity, recognize that clinging to it does not serve you. Take a deep breath, acknowledge it, and let it go. Forgiveness is a powerful tool in this practice, not for others, but for yourself. Holding on to anger and resentment only poisons your own mind. When you forgive, not because the other person deserves it, but because you deserve peace, you reclaim your power. Another transformative habit that strengthens both mind and spirit is simplifying your desires. Desire itself is not the problem. It is the attachment to desire that leads to suffering. When you constantly crave more possessions, more recognition, more pleasure, you create a cycle of dissatisfaction. The moment one desire is fulfilled, another takes its place, leaving you in a state of endless wanting. Buddhism teaches that contentment arises when we learn to appreciate what we already have. Instead of constantly chasing, learn to pause and ask, do I really need this? Will this truly bring me peace, or is it just another distraction? The more you simplify your desires, the more freedom you gain. You begin to experience joy in the present rather than postponing it for some future achievement. This habit also extends to how you spend your time. People often fill their schedules with unnecessary commitments, believing that busyness equals productivity. But true productivity is not about doing more. It is about doing what matters. Simplify your schedule. Focus on what brings real fulfillment rather than engaging in activities out of obligation or fear of missing out. A crucial part of self-mastery is also mastering your speech. Words carry immense power. They shape your thoughts, influence your relationships, and affect your inner peace. Many people speak mindlessly, complaining, gossiping, or criticizing, without realizing that every word they speak reinforces a certain mental state. Buddhism teaches the practice of right speech, speaking with awareness, kindness, and purpose. Before you speak, ask yourself, is this true? Is this necessary? Is this kind? If the answer is no, remain silent. When you practice mindful speech, you cultivate a more peaceful mind. You stop wasting energy on negativity, and you build relationships based on trust and understanding. Along with mindful speech, practicing mindful consumption is equally important. What you consume, whether it's food, media, or information, shapes your mental and emotional state. If you constantly feed your mind with negativity, fear, or distractions, your thoughts will reflect that. But if you choose to consume content that inspires, educates, and uplifts, your mind will naturally become stronger and clearer. Take a moment to reflect on what you regularly consume. Are you filling your mind with unnecessary drama, fear-based news, or meaningless distractions? Or are you feeding it with knowledge, wisdom, and positivity? Be intentional with your consumption. Choose books, conversations, and environments that align with the person you want to become. Another essential habit for transformation is cultivating deep presence in every action. Most people move through life in a state of partial awareness, always thinking about what's next, always distracted, rarely fully present. But when you bring your full attention to whatever you are doing, life becomes richer, more meaningful. Whether you are eating, working, or having a conversation, practice being fully present. Notice the details, the taste of your food, the tone of a person's voice, the sensation of your breath. When you engage with life in this way, even ordinary moments become extraordinary. Presence turns routine tasks into meditations, distractions into opportunities for mindfulness, and conversations into deep connections. One of the greatest realizations you will have on this journey is that happiness is not something to be chased, it is something to be cultivated. Many people postpone happiness, believing that they will be content once they achieve a certain goal or acquire a certain thing. But happiness is not in the future. It is in this moment, in your perspective, in your ability to appreciate what is already here. Gratitude, mindfulness, and simplicity are the foundations of lasting happiness. When you train yourself to see the beauty in the small moments, to appreciate a quiet morning, a deep breath, or the kindness of a stranger, you begin to understand that joy was never something you had to seek. It was always within you. As you continue integrating these habits, embracing solitude, releasing emotional baggage, simplifying your desires, mastering your speech and consumption, practicing deep presence, and cultivating happiness, you will find that you are no longer controlled by external forces. You are no longer a prisoner of fear, doubt, or the expectations of others. You have reclaimed your mind, your peace, your power. But this journey is not about reaching a final state of enlightenment. It is about continuous growth, about showing up each day with awareness, about making choices that align with your highest self. Some days will be easier than others. There will be moments of struggle, moments of doubt, but each time you choose mindfulness over distraction, patience over frustration, wisdom over impulsiveness, you take another step forward. The greatest transformation happens not in grand moments, but in the small daily choices. The way you wake up in the morning, the way you respond to difficulties, the way you speak to yourself and others. These moments, seemingly insignificant, are the ones that shape your life. And as you walk this path, you will realize that the person you have been searching for, the stronger, wiser, more peaceful version of yourself, was never far away. You were always here. You just needed to wake up. As you walk further down this path of self-mastery, you begin to see that true freedom is not about escaping life's challenges. It is about learning to navigate them with clarity, strength, and inner peace. The struggles, the setbacks, the moments of doubt, they do not disappear. Instead, you learn to respond to them differently. You learn to meet life not with resistance, but with wisdom. One of the most powerful habits that solidifies this transformation is the practice of radical acceptance. Many people spend their lives fighting against reality, wishing things were different, resisting what is, holding on to expectations that only bring suffering. But Buddhism teaches that suffering arises not from the events themselves, but from our resistance to them. Radical acceptance does not mean giving up. It does not mean passively accepting injustice or allowing yourself to be mistreated. It means fully acknowledging reality as it is, rather than as you wish it to be. It means seeing things clearly, without illusion or denial, and then deciding how to respond from a place of strength. When faced with difficulty, ask yourself, am I resisting reality, or am I accepting it and choosing my response? The more you cultivate this habit, the less suffering you experience. You begin to move with life rather than against it. You stop wasting energy on things you cannot change and start directing it toward what truly matters. Alongside acceptance, another essential practice for inner peace is mastering detachment. Attachment is one of the greatest sources of suffering, not just attachment to material things, but attachment to ideas, relationships, and even personal identities. The more you cling, the more you suffer when things inevitably change. But detachment does not mean indifference. It means freedom. It means loving without possessing, working toward goals without fearing failure, and being open to life's changes without being shattered by them. Detachment allows you to experience joy without fear of losing it, to engage in the world without being controlled by it. One way to practice detachment is to remind yourself daily that nothing is permanent. Relationships evolve, circumstances shift, and even your own thoughts and emotions are constantly changing. Instead of resisting this truth, embrace it. When you learn to let go with grace, you become unshakable. Another transformative habit is the art of non-reactivity. In a world that encourages impulsive reactions through social media, arguments, and emotional outbursts, one of the greatest strengths you can develop is the ability to pause, to not react immediately, to give yourself space before responding. Buddhism teaches that the gap between stimulus and response is where wisdom lies. When someone insults you, you do not have to retaliate. When a situation triggers anger, you do not have to be consumed by it. You can pause, observe the emotion, breathe, and then choose a response that aligns with your higher self. This habit is especially powerful in relationships. Many conflicts escalate because people react without thinking, saying things they later regret. But when you develop non-reactivity, you create space for understanding, for patience, for clarity. Instead of being driven by emotions, you become the master of them. Another key to sustaining this journey is living with intention. Too often, people drift through life without clarity, allowing external circumstances to dictate their direction. But when you live with intention, you become the architect of your own experience. You make decisions based on your values, not on impulses or societal expectations. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to become? What values do I want to embody? Write them down. Reflect on them daily. Let them guide your choices, your habits, your interactions. When you live with intention, every action becomes meaningful. You stop wasting time on things that do not serve you. You begin to move through life with purpose. A crucial part of intentional living is surrounding yourself with the right influences. The people you spend time with, the content you consume, the environment you immerse yourself in, all of these shape your mind. Choose wisely. Seek relationships that uplift you, conversations that inspire you, and experiences that challenge you to grow. If you find yourself surrounded by negativity, step back. Protect your energy. Not everyone is meant to walk this journey with you, and that is okay. Let go of relationships that drain you. Choose to spend time with those who encourage your growth, who reflect the values you want to embody. The more intentional you become with your surroundings, the stronger your mindset will be. Another practice that deepens self-mastery is embracing uncertainty. Many people fear the unknown, trying to control every aspect of their lives. But control is an illusion. Life is unpredictable, and trying to resist uncertainty only creates anxiety. Instead of fearing the unknown, learn to embrace it. See it as an adventure rather than a threat. Buddhism teaches that clinging to certainty is one of the main causes of suffering. When you let go of the need to know everything, you become more adaptable. You learn to trust yourself, knowing that whatever happens, you have the strength to handle it. You stop living in fear of the future and start fully experiencing the present. To cultivate this mindset, remind yourself daily, I do not need to have all the answers. I trust in my ability to adapt. The more you practice this, the less anxious you become about what is to come. You begin to see change not as something to be feared, but as an essential part of life's flow. And finally, one of the most liberating habits you can develop is learning to see yourself as enough. Many people spend their lives feeling inadequate, always striving, always comparing, always feeling like they need to be more. But the truth is, you are already enough, right now, as you are. This does not mean you stop growing. It means you stop seeking worth outside of yourself. You stop waiting for a certain achievement, a certain approval, a certain milestone to feel complete. You recognize that your worth is not dependent on external things. It is inherent. The more you integrate this belief, the more confident and free you become. You stop chasing validation. You stop fearing failure. You begin to operate from a place of self-respect rather than self-doubt. And when you do this, your entire life transforms. With each of these habits, radical acceptance, detachment, non-reactivity, intentional living, surrounding yourself with the right influences, embracing uncertainty, and knowing you are enough, you build a foundation of mental strength that no external force can shake. And as you continue on this journey, you will notice something incredible. The things that once triggered you no longer have the same power. The fears that once held you back begin to dissolve. The external chaos of the world does not disturb your inner peace, because you have become something rare, someone who is not controlled by emotions, circumstances, or the opinions of others. Someone who moves through life with wisdom, with clarity, with unshakable confidence. This is what it means to be truly free. Not to escape the challenges of life, but to meet them with a mind that is clear, a heart that is open, and a spirit that is unbreakable. You are already on this path. Every step you take, every small shift in mindset, every act of self-awareness brings you closer to the highest version of yourself. And in the end, you will realize you were never truly incomplete. As you continue deepening your understanding and practice, you realize that true transformation does not come from seeking external change, but from mastering your inner world. The mind, once filled with doubt and negativity, now becomes a place of clarity, strength, and resilience. You no longer fear obstacles, for you have learned that every challenge is an opportunity for growth. You no longer seek approval, for you have discovered that self-acceptance is the only validation that truly matters. One of the most powerful realizations on this journey is understanding that you are not your thoughts. Thoughts come and go, like clouds in the sky, but they do not define who you are. Just because a thought appears does not mean it is true. And just because an emotion arises does not mean it must control you. Buddhism teaches that the mind is like a river, constantly flowing, changing, and moving. If you try to stop the flow, you create resistance and suffering. But if you allow it to move naturally, observing without attachment, you begin to experience a deep sense of peace. When a negative thought arises, you do not have to engage with it. You do not have to fight it. Simply recognize it, acknowledge it, and let it pass like a leaf floating down the river. This detachment from thoughts is what allows you to cultivate true freedom. You are no longer imprisoned by old beliefs, past regrets, or fears about the future. You begin to live in the present, fully engaged with the moment in front of you. And as you do, you start to see beauty in the simple things: a deep breath, the sound of the wind, the warmth of the sun. One of the most liberating aspects of this journey is embracing imperfection. Many people spend their lives trying to be perfect, always striving, always correcting, always fearing failure. But perfection is an illusion. The pursuit of it only leads to stress and dissatisfaction. True peace comes when you accept yourself as you are, knowing that growth is a process, not a final destination. Buddhism teaches that enlightenment is not about becoming flawless. It is about becoming aware. Aware of your thoughts, your actions, your emotions. Aware of when you are acting from a place of wisdom and when you are acting from a place of fear. And when you are aware, you no longer judge yourself harshly. Instead, you meet yourself with compassion, understanding that every mistake, every struggle, and every lesson is part of the path. Instead of striving for perfection, strive for progress. Every day, aim to be just a little more mindful, a little more patient, a little more present. Small, consistent efforts lead to profound transformation. It is not about grand gestures. It is about daily commitment to living with intention. Another essential lesson is the importance of surrender. Many people resist life, trying to force things to go their way, fearing uncertainty and the unknown. But resistance only creates suffering. When you learn to surrender, not in the sense of giving up, but in the sense of trusting the flow of life, you experience a deep sense of ease. Surrender means accepting that not everything is within your control. It means understanding that life is always changing, always evolving, and that clinging to fixed expectations only creates frustration. Instead of fighting against reality, you learn to move with it. You trust that whatever happens is part of your journey, that every experience, good or bad, is shaping you into the person you are meant to become. This trust in life's flow is what allows you to find peace even in uncertainty. You no longer feel the need to have all the answers. You no longer fear the unknown because you understand that life unfolds exactly as it should. With this mindset, you begin to live with greater ease, no longer weighed down by fear or stress. You learn to embrace the present moment, knowing that it is the only place where life truly happens. Another key practice in sustaining this peace is simplicity. In today's world, people often believe that more is better, more success, more possessions, more status. But true fulfillment comes not from accumulation, but from simplicity. The more you simplify your life, physically, mentally, and emotionally, the lighter and freer you become. Simplifying does not mean giving up everything. It means being intentional. It means clearing out what does not serve you, whether it's unnecessary possessions, negative thought patterns, or draining relationships. When you create space, you make room for what truly matters: peace, clarity, and purpose. Ask yourself, what in my life is adding unnecessary stress? What can I let go of to create more peace? Whether it's decluttering your space, simplifying your schedule, or letting go of past resentments, every act of simplification brings you closer to freedom. And finally, the most profound realization you will come to is that happiness has never been something to chase. It has always been within you. Many people spend their lives searching for happiness in external things, relationships, achievements, possessions, only to find that it is fleeting. But Buddhism teaches that true happiness is not found outside of you. It is cultivated within. Happiness is a state of mind, not a destination. It is not something that happens to you. It is something you create. It is found in gratitude, in mindfulness, in simplicity. It is found in choosing to focus on what is good rather than what is missing. It is found in being present, in letting go of what no longer serves you, and in embracing life as it is. You do not need to wait for happiness. You can choose it now. You can choose to see the beauty in each moment, to appreciate what you have, to release worry and embrace peace. When you shift your perspective, everything changes, not because the world has changed, but because you have. And so, as you walk this path, you will realize that you are no longer the same person who once felt trapped in negativity and fear. You have grown, you have evolved, you have awakened to the truth that peace is not something you must search for. It is something you create moment by moment. This journey is not about reaching a final destination. It is about learning, growing, and awakening every day. It is about choosing mindfulness over distraction, gratitude over lack, and peace over fear. And as you continue, you will inspire others, not by your words, but by your presence, by the way you carry yourself, by the way you respond to challenges, by the way you radiate calmness in a world filled with noise. As you continue this journey of transformation, you begin to understand that true inner peace is not something that happens by chance. It is a result of conscious effort, daily practice, and a commitment to mastering your mind. You have already taken steps toward freeing yourself from negativity, from external expectations, and from the fears that once held you back. But the journey does not end here. In fact, it is only just beginning. One of the most powerful realizations you will come to is that the mind is like a muscle. It needs to be trained consistently to remain strong. Just as physical exercise builds endurance, mental discipline builds resilience. The more you practice mindfulness, the more you choose awareness over reaction, the stronger your ability to remain at peace no matter what life throws at you. But there will be tests. Life will still present challenges. People will still try to bring you down. Unexpected difficulties will arise. The difference now is that you are no longer as easily shaken. You have built a foundation of strength that allows you to face these challenges with wisdom rather than fear. One essential practice in strengthening your mind is developing emotional stability. Many people live at the mercy of their emotions, one moment feeling confident, the next doubting everything. They allow small inconveniences to ruin their day, external events to dictate their mood, and the opinions of others to shape their self-worth. But this is not true freedom. Buddhism teaches that emotional balance comes from non-attachment. When you learn to observe emotions rather than be consumed by them, you develop a deep sense of inner stability. This does not mean suppressing emotions. It means allowing them to exist without letting them control you. It means feeling anger without being consumed by it, experiencing sadness without drowning in it, and facing fear without running from it. The next time a strong emotion arises, instead of reacting impulsively, take a moment to pause, breathe. Ask yourself, is this emotion useful? What is it trying to teach me? By stepping back and observing, you reclaim control over your mind. You remind yourself that emotions are temporary. They do not define you. Another key practice is strengthening your ability to endure discomfort. Growth does not happen in comfort zones. If you avoid discomfort at all costs, you will never reach your full potential. True mental strength is built by willingly stepping into challenges, by embracing the difficult moments, and by training yourself to remain calm under pressure. Buddhism teaches that suffering is not something to be feared, it is something to be understood. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to develop patience, resilience, and wisdom. The more you train yourself to endure discomfort, the less power fear has over you. Start small. Push yourself beyond your comfort zone in small ways, whether it is through physical endurance, mental discipline, or facing fears that have held you back. Each time you prove to yourself that you can handle discomfort, you become stronger. You become the kind of person who does not crumble under pressure, but thrives in the face of adversity. Another powerful shift that occurs on this journey is the realization that external success does not define you. Many people chase achievements, wealth, and recognition, believing that these things will bring happiness. But Buddhism teaches that true fulfillment comes not from what you acquire, but from how you live. The pursuit of external success often leads to an endless cycle of wanting more. Ask yourself, what truly matters to me? What values do I want to live by? When you align your actions with your deepest values, success becomes a byproduct rather than the goal itself. You stop chasing happiness and start living in a way that naturally creates it. This shift in perspective also changes how you view setbacks. Instead of seeing failure as something to be feared, you begin to see it as a teacher. Every setback holds a lesson. Every mistake is an opportunity to learn. The most successful and fulfilled people are not those who never fail, but those who learn to rise every time they fall. Another transformative realization is that you do not need to carry the weight of the past. Many people live with regret, guilt, or resentment, holding on to past mistakes, past pain, past disappointments. But the past only has power over you if you allow it to. Buddhism teaches that the present moment is all that exists. The more you dwell on the past, the more you rob yourself of the present. Letting go does not mean forgetting. It means choosing not to let the past define you. It means forgiving yourself and others, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. If you find yourself stuck in past regrets, remind yourself, I cannot change the past, but I can change how I move forward. Each day is a new opportunity to redefine yourself, to make better choices, to live with intention. As you continue walking this path, you will notice that your relationships also begin to change. When you become more mindful, more self-aware, and more at peace with yourself, you attract different kinds of people into your life. You begin to surround yourself with those who uplift you rather than drain you. You develop deeper, more meaningful connections because you are no longer seeking validation. You are simply present. Buddhism teaches the importance of compassion, not just for others, but for yourself. The more you practice self-compassion, the more patience and understanding you develop for others. Instead of reacting with frustration or anger, you learn to respond with wisdom. Instead of holding grudges, you learn to let go. This does not mean allowing people to mistreat you. It means learning to set boundaries while maintaining inner peace. One of the most profound transformations that occurs through this practice is a deep sense of inner fulfillment. You no longer need to chase happiness because you realize that it is not something external. It is something you cultivate within. You find joy in the simple things. You appreciate the moments of stillness. You wake up each day not searching for something to complete you, but knowing that you are already whole. And this is the ultimate realization. You were never broken. You were never lacking. The only thing that needed to change was your perspective. Negativity, fear, doubt. These were never part of who you truly are. They were illusions created by an untrained mind. But now you see the truth. Now you understand that peace, strength, and wisdom have always been within you. And as you move forward, you do so with confidence, knowing that no matter what happens, you have the power to remain unshaken. Life will continue to bring challenges, but you will meet them with clarity. Fear will still arise, but it will no longer control you. Negativity may try to return, but it will find no home in your mind. Because now you know who you are. You are not your thoughts. You are not your past. You are not the opinions of others. You are something far greater, an unshakable force of wisdom, strength, and peace. And that is a power no external force can take away from you. This journey is yours to continue, moment by moment, choice by choice. And the best part, you are just getting started, because now you know the truth.